Hello everyone and welcome back to the JP on Comms YouTube channel. Slightly delayed all you need to know video today. I have been away, as I mentioned in my last video, and unfortunately my editing and software app did not let me actually use it in a different country to England when I was on holiday. So I'd recorded some videos, but unfortunately they were out of date by the time I've come back. Didn't really make much sense, the content that was in the videos based off what's happened since. So we're back to square one today, which is why I'm bringing you a slightly delayed all you need to know about this chap, David Agbontohoma, coming into the side from Boreham Wood after about 3 years with them. Of course, it has been a very good season for Boreham Wood last season, beating us in the playoff final to get back into the National League, but David has been a regular feature through them over the last few seasons. He featured very heavily in their time in the National League. After signing for them, he actually featured in all 23 games for the remainder of their National League campaign, in which they did finish in the playoff spots there. They then ended up getting relegated in the following season, but he had a very injury-hit season that season and only really featured more heavily towards the end of that campaign. Same sort of goes for last season. A few injuries. I found an article from the chairman of Boreham Wood at the start of this year talking about how unfortunately David had a few injuries here and there, primarily picked up in training, so it might have been something to do with Boreham Wood's training regimes, we don't know, but fingers crossed he's going to be able to come to Maidstone and deliver, because he certainly has promising talent. He has spent quite a lot of time working his way up through the youth rankings. He started off at Arsenal Youth, and then in 2018 to 19 season he moved to the Southampton under 18s, made his way up in 2020 to the under 23s, impressed very, very much so for Southampton in his time there. He ended up getting a move to Sheffield Wednesday's under 21s and was starting to work his way towards the first team. I've watched a few things back from fans of Sheffield Wednesday, online forums and blogs, and actually a quote from Darren Moore, the coach at the time, which really do emphasise the prospect that he was during his time there and how his departure into the non-league was actually a big shock at the time, which didn't really please too many people. But the quote I've got from Darren Moore states that his imposing figure, aerially and tonight, this was after a game, said he thought he was excellent. He didn't lose much in the game, has a wonderful mobility, is really calm and composed on the ball. So that is the sort of player we're looking at bringing in. Someone who at a very young age already maintains a significant level of composure, very dominant in the air, presumably so going off of what I've seen in clips and of what his coach at the time, through his time at Sheffield Wednesday, has to say. Luke Garrard, his manager at Boreham Wood, also had good words to say about him, saying that he not only shown great maturity for a young player, but he's been a very powerful and dominant centre-half who loves to defend. So all good news for Maidstone. It just seems that the thing that's kind of stopped him over the last year or two has really been those injuries, which is something, of course, that Maidstone teams of the past have seen. You know, some of our favourite players and some of our best players have faced injuries in recent years. Juan Luque and Sam Corr, most notably, I'd say, in recent years. But hopefully David can come in and prove those essential skills and provide them to the team, rather than being a dependable squad player, become someone who can become that reliable, consistent starter week in, week out, and really impose himself on this National League as he begins to mature that little bit more. Again, he fits inside that age bracket that George Elokobi and Craig Fagan, along with the rest of the board at the club, seem to be trying to bring in. Those developmental players in that sort of mid-20s region who have shown that promise but are coming in with that extra point to prove. Now, in this interview here with Stones TV, David talks about his eagerness to want to go all the way this season. Talks about how Maidstone came so close last year, and he believes with the fan base and the coaching and the team that we're building at the moment that we can just do that this season. And I hope that that is very much true, because I think a lot of people have, of course, concerns over the squad, you know, lots of trialists in pre-season, but when we're bringing in players like this who really do have a significant underlying quality, you know, they make you think of players you've seen in the past, where you look at them play and you think, that really reminds me of that quality player I've watched. You know, there's some hints of Reece Greenwich in there, of how he can play the ball out sometimes, his composure on the ball. But it also made me think of the likes like Mark Gahey in the Premier League. And I say that more as a generalisation. Of course, he's not of the quality of Mark Gahey in the Premier League, but just the style, maybe not of the quality, but just that ability to be in the right place at the right time, get those last-ditch challenges in, remain composed and collected on the ball, and that sort of thing can really benefit a Maidstone side that are going to look to build forward from the back this season. I think the players we've signed kind of show that we want to do a little bit more, creativity. We try and build things up a little bit better as a squad, and hopefully that will come and create goals for those playing those centre forward positions. So that is going to be all for David Agbontohoma. Hopefully he's going to hit the ground running, stay injury free, and provide significant defensive reinforcement to this Maidstone United side for this upcoming campaign. So thank you all so very much for watching. Best of luck, David, on the upcoming campaign, and I'll catch you guys all in the next one.